they put it together and put the pictures in the book. But as far as the
It's kind of like that one you're showing that wreck and all that, you know, the different,
as far as history,
somebody else's,
yeah, as far as history of
showing
the
Campbell
circus.
Brothers car.
Yeah.
Somebody would say there's somebody.
They say this is good pictures
Yeah.
and so forth. Some of her things about pictures in here are not good though.
You said the circus moved here in 1912?
1912. Hey, you see this picture right here?
Yeah, that's
now,
yeah.
now that's that picture. But that picture right there, it says on the back of that picture that picture was when the circus showed in Madison Square Garden. And this says that she thinks this circus showed in Kansas City in 1910, and she thinks that's what the picture is. But that's not true. That's the picture of Madison Square Garden. You can see the round deal there where they had the boxing ring out in the middle. You know, that's where they have that for the. It was mainly used for the boxing tournaments and stuff. You know, for years, and that's where they still have the heavyweight championship of the world and all this kind of stuff.
That's right.
And so that's not what it, you know. But anyhow, she says that that all she has is these pictures to show, and she will put information on here that she thinks might be true. That's just like I got a lot of things right here. See this right here? That's the Campbell Brothers Calliope.
Yeah.
See? And it followed the last part of the circus parade. Now, I've got these pictures here, and to show you how things get mistook once in a while. Here, here's some pictures right here, the Campbell Brothers Circus Parade. Now, right over here, you see that Calliope? And it says on there that's that same one. See, that's the same one. See. And says that this is a Cole Brothers Circus. And the reason I say it is because it says Cole Brothers on the side of the building. And here's a circus parade in the town. Now, I've got a letter, and there's also a notation in this book right here that says that the Cole Brothers and the Campbell Brothers showed in this same town the same day. And so whenever they found out both of them were booked for this town the same day, they came on in. And they agreed one of them would have the matinee performance, the other one would have the night performance, and it says both of them was attended well. So you can see how that could get mistaken.
Where was that?
And this was in Drake, North Dakota.
1913.
But they say this was a Cole Circus, but it wasn't. That's the Campbell Brothers Circus. See?
How did he get started in the circus?
Actually, my great uncles started the circus in Fairbury, Nebraska, and they started the circus in about 1891 or somewhere along in there. And of course, it took 2 or 3 years to add wagons and stuff to it to get the circus all together. But by 1900 or 1898, I guess is when they first started the buying cars and started on the road, on the railroad. See, and they went ahead on the railroad and added more cars until in 1905 they had 36 railroad cars and 2 advanced cars. That's 38 railroad cars. And by 1908 it was the second largest circus in the world. And,
What was the largest circus at that time?
Let's see, it was the Algie Barnes
Yeah.
Algie Barnes, which became the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey.
Now, what year did you
That's
say?
what I worked my way into one year.
Yeah.
Algie Barnes and
See, it was the Barnes, and then it was then it became Ringling Brothers, and and Barnes and Bailey.
Then it
Was
became,
all
yeah,
three of them joined together, and then it became,
Ring
and that
and
was the
Brothers,
biggest.
Hagen, Beck and Wallace, and later, wasn't it? With
What
Brigham
year
Young.
did the Campbell and you say the Ringling, you say there were 3 circuses joined one year?
Mhm. I could probably look that information up.
You say it was
but
a
it would take
Campbell,
some time.
Ringling, and
Well, oh, you mean the Campbell Bailey Hutchinson show?
Yeah, right.
That was in 1920. I have some. Let's see what I got on that right here. I got some route cards, I think, on that, and some information on it. Takes a little time. Route cards.
I understand they're trying to get the old depot down here restored for a train museum.
Yeah.
There's no picture of Hagen, Beck and Wallace there.
Hmm?
No picture of Hagen, Beck and Wallace.
Yeah.
In about 1930, I was going to high school. I worked my way into 3 circuses. The
What'd you
time
do?
I got in there, putting up tents.
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Water, wading in water up, just your head out.
Daggone, here's one of the route
I
cards.
learned how to drive tent
From the,
pegs.
This one, the route from 1920, see? This
Yeah.
Campbell Bailey Hutchinson Circus. And I've got a letter, telling about moving the equipment over to O'Keene, and that, at the circus would start out of O'Keene this season as a consolidated Campbell Bailey Hutchinson show. And so, here's another route card from the Campbell Bailey Hutchinson combined
Okay.
show.
Are you working with them on the train depot down here?
Yeah, I'm National Director, National Railway Historical Society. And I'm on the board of directors of the Oklahoma Railroad Museum Association. And yeah, we're having an abstract made up now on the building. See, it took a long time to get this thing all together because we had to get the Katy and the state of Oklahoma together, because the Katie's got a lease on the property to buy it, and the state of Oklahoma actually owns the property. And we had to get both of them to agree that we could buy that piece of the property. And they finally agreed that we'd get a quitclaim deed to the property until such time as the Katy bought the property, and then they would come forward with a warranty
Now,
deed.
who will own it?
But it's a contract for deed now.
Yeah. After you all purchased it, who will own it?
Well, actually, it will probably become the property of the state of Oklahoma again, because unless Enid comes around and decides that they want to be the recipient of the property, see, because actually as a nonprofit organization, we have to name somebody
Yeah.
to receive the property in case our outfit, and it's got to be either the state, federal government, or the town of Enid.
Enid has so many opportunities. Let's
So
through their
if,
fingers.
if they'll take it, well, we'll give it to, we'll make Enid. But
Is there a
if they
National
don't,
Railroad Museum anywhere?
well, there's several national museums. See, National Railway Historical Society is affiliated with, like our club is the National Railway Historical Society. We're not allowed to have a museum in the name of the National Railway Historical Society. We have to have it separate. So we formed a separate organization as the Oklahoma Railroad Museum Association, see, and got incorporated as a nonprofit organization and got to be a receiver of surplus property and all kinds of things, and on the National Archives and the National Register of Historical Places and all this sort of thing. You got to get everything in line, and it takes a while. And then we form a museum, and once we get the museum formed and all all of the paperwork done and everything, then we'll say it's a part of the National Railway Historical Society, which it will be. But
Will most of your collection go in there if it's set up, or?
yeah,
That'd be good.
yeah. Got two cabooses. Now we just got the city of Enid here about a month and a half ago now to give us the say so over the engine in the park.
Mm-hmm.
See, and so now we have the full say so over the engine in the park, and of course we can move it and restore it or whatever. See,
What are the plans for it?
Well, we intend to move it up to the museum. And as soon as we get the property secured and an abstract made up on the property, then we're going to put a chain link fence around the property and go to work cleaning it up. Then we'll move our cabooses up there.
Yeah.
Then we want to move the engine up there. But we want that engine to be a citywide project. We
Yeah.
want to implicate everybody in the city of Enid in a donation deal to help with the finances and everything to move it up there, because then everybody will think they got a part of the thing and they'll be interested in it. And you gotta do something like that, and it's gotta be something that means something to the people before you can put it over.
Was it Waco? They sold shares in their engine.
Well,
They
we might
sold
do
shares.
something.
They had a little stock certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
anyone that made a donation, they
Yeah.
got so many shares, so they
Yeah.
own that part of the engine.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do with the museum, in a way like that. What we're gonna do is if you join the museum association, and of course if you just join and pay your year's dues, well, you'll get your patch with the Enid Railroad Museum Association on it. If you donate a certain amount of money, then you'll get a hat, and then a certain other amount you'll get a shirt with the thing on it. Or if you donate a certain amount, we're going to make a plaque and put your name on the plaque. There's
What's your plan for all your circus material? What are you gonna do with all your circus material?
Oh, I really don't know. I imagine Wayne will. See this right here? This is out in Drummond. This is down Drummond in the Drummond Flats, and this is while the circus is in winter quarters. And these are trapeze artists, aerialists they call them, and they're practicing for the season. See here, and they they ride as cowgirls after the circus over, and then they have a Wild West show.
Yeah.
And they ride in the Wild West show, and they're practicing their things for the Wild West show. But here they're also Rosenbach riders. Yeah, these horses here are a special breed of horses that has a real wide back, and the circus, and they call Rosenbachs, and the circus performs off in the back of these horses around the rings. And a fellow by the name of Chris Hess, that from Cleo Springs, raised these horses for circuses all over the world for years and years. And of course,
Where'd they come from, the horses?
From Russia originally.
Russia?
They're a Russian breed of horses. I've got these circus route cars from almost every year of the circus. See, my dad and my Uncle Bill and all of them, they mailed these cards back home, from the circus, so the people at home would know where to write to them, where they'd be at the certain times, see. And so that's where I got most of the route cards. These circus wagons, all these circus wagons you see in here are at Sarasota, Florida, at the Circus Museum. But the reason I got interested in these is because some of these circus wagons were originally the Campbell Circus wagons.
They were.
And they were bought by other circuses and finally wound up being properly the Ringling Brothers and put in their circus museum down there, see. But the Gomar circus wagons, some of those were original Campbell Brothers circus wagons. See, now this is Baraboo, Wisconsin. I've got some stuff here that I haven't got done that I got to get done that will enhance what I'm doing here. These are negatives, and these are negatives of this that's a trick dog activity. But these are circus wagons and circus. These are circus wagons
Oh,
on circus lots.
Mm-hmm.
See,
What were these taken?
see here.
Oh.
Here's the banner on the back of the
Yeah.
sideshow banner, and
Ooh, that negative is going. These are nitrite negatives.
huh?
These are nitrate negatives.
Yeah, I know it. And I got to get something done with them
Yeah.
right away. I mean, you know, it's time that you. Time
Where were those
that I-
taken?
A lot of, well, I've got, they were taken out on the circus different times, way back.
Those Campbell Brothers.
Uh-huh.
Negatives.
And here's one of the, this is a circus wagon. Well, here's the little, no, here's the little back picture of that thing. See there, you can see the wheels and stuff on the bottom of it there.
Yeah.
That's an animal cage,
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. This is people perform, this is Siamese twins together there, see?
Yeah.
See? Them two there.
Mm-hmm.
That's Mary and Margaret Gibbs. They were Freaks and Dad's sideshow. And I got all this here, all this is negatives, circus negatives. And I gotta do something with these. I gotta do something now, these two. And
These are all Campbell Brothers?
well, I don't know for sure. Some of them are family and some of them are
Yeah.
circus, see?
Mm-hmm.
But they're all circus or Campbell related. Of course, I got to get them out and get them. See, Doc Campbell, that was my dad, and this was a Cascade show. See,
What's the Cascade show?
well, it was one of the circuses. Actually, whenever the circus disbanded, Campbell Brothers Circus, my Uncle Bill took the sideshow out and the horses, or some of the 35 of the horses, and put them with another circus, with the Cole Brothers Circus, and went out one year. Then he came back home, and my dad took the sideshow and booked the sideshow with different circuses all over the country, and until he retired in 1946, I guess, when he finally retired from the circuses. But for all that time, he had the sideshow, and he had all different sideshow freaks under contract. That picture was taken in Fairbury, Nebraska, and that's some of the circus elephants that they were moving from one of the places to the other up there where they had heated tents and things. This right here, I've been making lists of different things. Campbell Brothers Circus had, here's a list of the train wrecks. In Spartan, Wisconsin, it's August 16th, 1910. And on the Oregon River, in Waco, Texas in 1910.
1910, yeah.
And then
What
in
kind of
19...
wrecks? What, just derailments or what?
Yeah. This one on the Oregon River, the river had a kind of avalanche and big rain and stuff, and it washed tracks out, and it was going along the side of the river, you know, on the train, and some of the coaches toppled over in the river.
In 1910?
And that was a wreck. And then in 1902 they had a fire at La Junta, Colorado, caused $7,000 worth of damage.
1902.
And then in 1903 a Chandelier wagon exploded and sprayed gasoline over the train and cost them $10,000.
What's a Chandelier Wagon?
In the circus, you know, before they had electricity or in the circus, they had a great big chandeliers that had all of the big lamps like
Oh,
that
yeah, the
all
kerosene
around.
lanterns, yeah.
And then they had, in each big top, they had about 4 or 5 of those hanging down. And they had to wrap them special because it was glass and couldn't break and
Yeah.
stuff. And they had a special car on the circus to put them in. And of course they kept the kerosene and stuff in the same car. And that's what happened there. It was called the Chandelier car. And at Pawnee, Oklahoma, in 1904, it was the second stand of the season. A stock car burned and killed 3 elephants and 4 camels, 2 sacred cows, and 1 bear.
Sacred cow from India.
Yeah,
The Bramers.
yeah, that's what they were called then, sacred
Yeah.
cows. Now they also on the show, Campbell Brothers show, had some water oxen, you know, and they called them sacred cows. So, as the Campbell Brothers Circus entered the yards in Barcock, Wisconsin, on August 16th, another train crashed into it at a junction and split the elephant car in half.
That was 1910.
Yeah, and
1910 was a bad year.
yeah, had more circus wrecks on the Campbell Brothers Circus in 1910 than on any other circus any time in the history of circuses before that. Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a bad year. The circus brought part of the circus bought from Bill Hill, circus broker, and the other acquired as a settlement of money put into the circus and debt owed for wages. That was in 1912. See,
Now,
But,
you said that your dad didn't collect anything from the circus for 5 years?
my Uncle Bill.
Your uncle.
See, when the circus started out in Fairbury, Nebraska, my Uncle Bill went there and went to work on the circus. Now, he put some money in the circus, and now they didn't have stock certificates, but they issued a contract, and he was supposed to draw some interest plus get his money back when the circus got started, you know, and everything. Well, he never did get his money back. He never did draw any interest on it. And then he was supposed to be set up on a salary. The only thing is on the circus, you know, they furnished your eats and you traveled on the road and you had your bed on the show and everything, you know. So you at the end of the season you drawed your money. Well, he didn't draw any money. And so after 5 or 6 years, well, they owed him all his salary. And of course they owed him his money they originally put in there. So actually, see, here's one of the circus wrecks. Look at that.
So-
That's a giraffe right there. There's an elephant right there.
So what'd your uncle do when the circus closed?
Well,
Owed him all the money.
when the circus closed, actually, he took the sideshow and, well, they took the animals, a lot of animals from the circus and gave them to Oklahoma City, to the zoo down in Oklahoma City. They helped start the zoo in Oklahoma City. And then he took the horses and booked the horses with another circus. And he went along to look after the horses. And also he booked a sideshow with another circus. All the sideshow performers called him up and says, "Hey, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do?" And he said, "Well, we'll get together and get you booked with another circus." So he took the sideshow, he took the tent and everything, and booked it with another circus and paid a percentage of the take for the sideshow to the other circus, you know. And then that sideshow traveled with different circuses. But actually, after Uncle Bill quit the circus there, he had 2 cars, 2 railroad cars, and he had what he called a car what he called a high grass show. He took these two railroad cars and went from town to town with these railroad cars and put on a show. Now, what this was the first movie type picture show, you know, that they had. And they would come in there and sit down, and he would show the picture show of the circus. And then as an attraction, why he had some of the circus performers that would put on a little act within the car or out front of the car. See? And then they would travel to other, and they had names for them people that had these cars, and they called them, some of them high grass and some of them low grass performers. And they said the high grass performers performed in those small towns where people didn't worry about cutting their grass so much, and in the larger towns where they had all asphalt and everybody keep their yards trimmed and weren't farmers and this, that, and the other, they called them low grass performers. And so it was a nickname, you know, from the show performers. But he had even it tells about this, I think, in here somewhere about the. Here's a couple of cars. These Campbell Brothers. See the Campbell Brothers.
Yeah.
Cars. These two here. There's two cars, and here's where they traveled in the freight train. See. But they would they'd book them. See, here's a couple of cars right here that were used for the same thing. See, a lot of these big shows done this thing after they. What happened back about that time? They charged a real big tax for any kind of entertainment tax and stuff like that. They started that during the war, after the war effort, and then after the war was over, they seen that was a good deal, so they increased the tax, and that's the first time you had to pay tax on tickets for performance, and they still do that now. Even your picture show ticket has to be amusement tax tacked onto it. See?
Dick DeBarcy,
Yeah.
did you know him?
Yeah, oh yeah, real well. Yeah, in fact, there's been this, we used to go visit him quite often, he had a lot of Campbell Brothers Circus stuff. Whenever they had his estate sale, you know what? When the Campbell Brothers Circus disbanded, all of a sudden all of the banners showed up missing, and nobody knew what happened to the banners. And you know, whenever they put him in the rest home, and the banker out to Drummond had his estate sale, those banners come up for sale at that sale. And I was going to buy those Campbell Brothers banners. They weren't his property anyway. They were our property. But I was going to buy them at the sale. But you know what they brought? $3,600. And I couldn't afford to buy them.
Where'd they go?
Some fella by the name of Whitney that's got is a circus collector of circus memorabilia, and lives in Ohio someplace about those.
There's a circus museum in San Antonio.
Here's the pictures of those banners right there.
You see him a pair of his shoes? See him a pair of his shoes?
Yeah.
See these?
I know.
See these banners
A friend
right
of mine
there?
got
These are the
it.
banners we were talking about right there.
Yeah.
Now they were painted by a famous circus painter and some of his paintings are hanging in museums over the country at different places.
What was his
They
name?
painted these banners. Have to look in the circus book here to see his name. I think they got his name in this book someplace here.
Shawnee Eck.
You know what she says in the entire Campbell Brothers collection of photos, I was unable to find one automobile or truck. See, she don't have it all. I got automobiles again. This is the advanced show car. With, see, it says so right on the side of it. And there's my dad and my Uncle Ed.
What year is that?
That was in 19. I believe that was in 19. I believe it was in 1918, or I believe 1918.
Mm-hmm.
But see, this was use this for advance. Go and put up posters and stuff in towns where the circus was going to come and show. You know. Yeah, I could find this guy's name, but I can't find it in here right now. But, you know, things that are real common today weren't common back them days. You know, to have a band that was from Scotland, see, for instance, wasn't very common because nobody had ever seen a real Scottish band playing bagpipes and stuff. So this was something to have people from foreign countries come here, and particularly if they could perform, it was something very special. But a lot of things that would be common today certainly weren't common back them days, and it was something for people to see. Now I don't know. I got this picture here also on the United States Revenue stamp fixed for revenue for Campbell Brothers Circus. This is kind of a thing what they put out, and instead of putting out stock certificates, you see, it was certificates of people that had invested in the circus, is what it really was. I have some list right here of different entertainers. From the Manzino family were a Japanese family that were acrobats in the circus, you know, and they were a real talented bunch, and they performed even the small kid to the largest people. This is one of the gals with that lady. Her name was Ollie.
Don't have the name in the back of
And
this.
they called her Jolly Ollie.
Yeah.
She was one of the sideshow performers. I'll have to, that's what I'm in the process of doing. Getting everything identified, so that whenever Wayne gets together. Now these are tickets to get in the shows from all over. Now you know what? This particular ticket right here it bit one boy. See, and you know what this was for? He watered the elephants, or helped put up the big top.
Is that what you were doing?
And whenever they came to do that, they issued them a ticket like this, see, to get in the show. And if they come and worked in the morning, put up the show. Then they got a afternoon performance, free ticket, and that's what those tickets were for right there, for employees ticket for one boy. And here, these were the same ones. Guests, the businessmen guests, and the general admission guests. Complimentary ticket. Yeah. For general agent, Fred Dock County. That was my dad. Oh, this fellow, he was a human skeleton, called a human skeleton on the show. And this was the tallest and shortest person ever to be in the armed forces at this time. See, this was back in World War I, you know, and they were the tallest and shortest person to serve as soldiers in World War I, and they went with the circus, and that was the attraction, you know, in the circus. This is Johnny Eck, and you'll see him in another picture here. He don't have any legs. Hi, here. How you doing? He doesn't have any legs, and Morris didn't have any arms, and so the two of them together rode a bicycle in the show. One guided and the other one pedaled. And it was a circus act. This is what it was. Here's the good to see you again. Here was a tattoo man in the circus, right here. Al Beck. Here's another picture of him. He was tattooed all over. And of course, all kind of things for attractions in the show. Here's some gals performing practicing, and they put on a Wild West show at the end of the circus performance. You know, you paid a quarter extra and got to stay see the Wild West show. It was a way to make an extra buck, you know, for the circus. They put on a camel act in the circus, and they of course were dressed like people in India, and of course they called them real Indians from India, and all this kind of business. This fellow here was a sword swallower, and he threw knives at 3 gals at one time on the stage, and he threw them knives at them, you know, lined them up in the circus. Here's a midget band that was in the circus. Whole midget band.
She's getting kind of risque there, isn't she?
Oh, these gals here were well, not this one. This gal here was an aerialist in the circus, but these right here, these gals here, they always had a girl show in the circus. They always had one particular tent and had a girl show in that tent, and of course they paid to see the gals in the girly show, and these were gals in the girly show. Part of the circus, just like any other part. You can't deny it. It was there. It was there, you know, and here's the pygmies right here. Now these people here, their head was about the size of a coconut, no bigger than a coconut, and their bodies was normal size. And of course, my dad had them under contract and traveled all over the country with them in the circuses. Here's when he had them with the Hackenbeck and Wallace circus. So we called them the Pinheads. And of course, that's other pictures of them. You see a lot of pictures of them. And here's a picture of my dad with them right here. This is my dad right here. Fred or Doc Campbell, we call him. Here's his pygmies from Alabama and all this kind of stuff. They put on all of the Abyssinia. Yeah, Abyssinia. They put on all of the stuff, you know. This right here was a Moffedite. Traveled with the circus, half man, half woman, you know. They always had this kind of setup deal right here. And they part of the sideshow.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the freaks of the sideshow. These were these right here, of course, were, they had white hair like a sheep and pink eyes and
Albino.
they were albinos. And in fact, of the business, the whole family was albinos, except their mother. Yeah, their mother wasn't albino. Their dad was, and all the children were in this family. Of course, my dad had them on contract with the circus.
Were they from Africa?
No, actually, they came from, they lived at Fairview. Fairview, yeah. And also the alligator man was that had skin like alligator. He was from Fairview. He was born and raised on a farm, right?
He lived out in West Greenwood for a number of years. You call him the Scaly Boy?
Yeah, the scaly boy. That's my dad's picture, my uncle and my grandmother and grandfather's picture. Here's Dad. Dad had a monkey act with the monkeys, and that's part of his monkey act. Hey, look what happened to this. Look what happened to this car. He wanted to backing in the track with the trains to unload the surface stuff. They backed the coaches in one track and then the other cars in the other track. Backed that right in there. Kind of ruined that a little bit, didn't it? Some circus performers. Now these were aerialists from the trapeze artists in the circus. All this is
muscular, weren't
Oh yeah. But all of this stuff is has to do with the circus. This right here is Buffalo Bill. This picture of Buffalo Bill is a hand autographed picture of Buffalo Bill, and I gave it to my dad. And my dad traveled with the South Flodo Circus. Buffalo Bill first worked on the South Flodo Circus, and then he went on to have his own circus, the Buffalo Bill Wild West Circus, and this is the original picture, and it says on the back of it, "To my dear friend Fred Campbell," on the back of it.
Do you have any record when they played in Enid at any time when it was on North Adams?
I just got one thing. You know what? I've got a record. You know, every so often they put a deal in the paper which says first circus to every show in England, Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey Circus. Okay, you know my uncle had the Wycomas Hornets paper, you know, in Wycomas for years and years, and he wrote everything that ever happened to the Campbell Brothers and the circus in the paper all the time as it happened. And he says in the paper, and it's in the paper Morristown there, that the Campbell Brothers Circus, the first circus to show in Enid after the strip opened. And it shows the date and everything of the circus showing here in Enid, and the circus parade and the whole works in Enid. And it was the first circus to show in Enid after the strip opened.
George Rainey's the one that said
Huh?
George Rainey's the one that said that the Ringling Brothers were the first.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's probably right that it showed here, but it wasn't the first one, I don't
Well,
think.
he said
It was on the, boy, I know that. I have all the dope.
yeah.
In fact, I got all the dope on. This is part of the dope on it. But I want to tell you something. In this original picture, some of those wagons in that show are the Campbell Brothers Circus wagons.
Is that right?
I don't know how they came to be in that circus there,
Hmm.
but some of them are actual Campbell Brothers Circus wagons.
That's weird.
It is. Particularly the Calliope wagon and one of the this one right here. This wagon right here shows up in there. Now these wagons were made in France by famous designers of circus wagons and sold to the different circuses in the United
One or
States.
two of them
And there's only one of each wagon that was ever built. They never made any two wagons alike. Made over 4,000 circus wagons and never made any two of them alike.
Some of
Of course, I don't know how that.
some of those pictures you have of those circus wagons are beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful wagons.
Yeah, they You know what, you'd be surprised, and of course I'm gonna do some more of this. I went down to Wycomas and went through the paper morgue down there and typed stuff that was in the different papers on the different dates, all about the Campbell Brothers Circus. And it's pretty interesting to some of the stuff that was wrote up in there. And of course, I'm sure that that they elaborated on a lot of the stuff that was in there because they wanted because they were skin folks in the circus. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly they didn't want anything to get by, right?
All right.
they wanted to enlarge on anything they could. So you, but I'm sure the facts are straight because of the. Here, this is the Rex that they had, circus Rex, train Rex. Oh, this is the same picture I showed you over there of the side shoulder thing.
Oh, yeah.
This is the same as that.
Mhm.
Now it'll take some time. See this gal, man, boy, girl,
Yeah.
what,
Man or woman.
whatever, huh?
I only ever went to one of those things my whole life, and that was going to school out in Tennessee, and on the way home, back to Oklahoma, and I stopped in Nashville. And they had a little old circus there, and I thought, well, I'll just stop and look at the thing. Well, I looked at the various acts and things, and they got up, and they had the Morphodite act, didn't freak
Yeah.
stuff. And for a quarter, you could go in and see it.
Yeah.
So I paid my quarter and went in there, and I was the only one there, you know, and I was just a little I thought I'd sort of stand back in the back of the crowd and look. Oh, I'll never bet to one of those again. Boy, was that
Yeah,
embarrassing.
this right here
Here's some of those wagons that really.
Yeah.
circus wagon. Yeah, most of those circus wagons are at the Circus Museum in Fairbury, Wisconsin, or at the Sarasota, Florida, at the Circus Museum. But this shows how colorful and everything that they were.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple in here that were sold to the Polar Circus when the Campbell Brothers Circus disbanded, and of course they painted their names on the side of them, and they're
Showing them under a different
yeah, they're
circus
showing them
name.
under a different circus name now. Of course, they got a right to. They bought them. Here's a letter of credit from the Drummond Bank for the circus to go out from Drummond, Oklahoma in the year 1913.
Well, when was this
Yeah.
thing founded? Is this the history of it here?
Oh, this is the history of the Campbell Brothers Circus that was wrote by
No, I know it's Sheffy.
third cousin of mine in
Fairbury.
in Fairbury. Yeah,
Carver City, Michigan.
yeah.
Huh.
Now
Little Chappie Fox.
this book ends in 1912
Oh, I
in
see.
Fairbury, and the circus moved in 1912 to Drummond, and went out of Drummond the season of 1913,
Oh,
and
when was
finished
this
up in
thing formed?
1920 in Drummond. See,
1889?
yeah. And this, see this letter of credit from the different places that they stopped along the line, went back to the Drummond Bank. It's just a document showing about the Campbell Brothers Circus there. a lot of these pictures that you see here, well, of course, this is Mary and Margie
Yeah.
Gibbs that were in that one negative I showed you, is a picture of them and their other sister. But that's their mother standing behind them. But those are all Campbell Brothers Circus up there. And you know, the Campbell Brothers Circus was one of the few circuses ever to go on the road as a railroad circus that had a printing office on one of the circus cars and printed their own material as it went along on the cars. And my Uncle Bill done a lot of the printing on the printing car. And whenever after the circus disbanded and everything like that, why he started a newspaper in Spartanburg.
Oh, it closed at
It's
1920.
a printing press that was actually on the Campbell Brothers Circus there in that picture. And that's the only significance about that printing press in that particular picture.
Yeah.
See. But these other pictures that you see that are not, now this is Campbell Brothers Circus, and this is Campbell Brothers Circus, and this is one of the Campbell Brothers Circus cars. But these other pictures, and this is Campbell Brothers, but this picture here is Al D. Barnes Circus, and this was in 1936, and this when my dad traveled with this circus, and he had sideshow freaks and stuff with this circus, and of course he was a ticket seller and a master of ceremony at the circus. You know, he came out with his top coat and his tall hat and everything, and his tux, and with the walking cane, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, and ring number one is so and so and so and so and so forth." And that was a part of his job. Of course, he was a barber and the first aid man for the circus. But here's when he traveled with the Al G. Barnes South Florida Circus here. Part of the this is the same troop picture. This is when he was with Hagenbeck and Wallace Circus right here. And there he is right there. And this is the sideshow. They had this band, you know, and they had the little nature gal and the tattoo man and the pinheads and the fat lady. Here's some more of the pinheads here, and there's Pinhead's mother right there. And this is the little gal that was albino, and there's another one of the albinos. And of course they had Hawaiian dancers, and that was something back then days. Somebody from Hawaii put on the dance, and the different ones in the sideshows. This right here is Jim Carver, Texas giant. He lived in Lehigh, Arkansas. He raised little fox terrier dogs, and they done trick acts in the circus and everything. And my dad had some of these dogs.
That's all.
And they bred each other's dogs because they weren't kin to each other, you know, and made circus performing dogs out of them. And this is this is a ring right here off of his finger. How big is he? He was 8 foot and 7 inches tall.
Who's that?
Jim Tarver. He was from Lehigh, Arkansas. I got some pictures of him around here in some of these albums and different things of my dad, and I might even have one of me standing beside of him.
I tried to pin down the height of that old boy down at Wacomas one time. And, you know, they advertised how he was like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Guinness Book of Records. There's no way.
No way he was that
He
tall.
was 6 something or other.
Yeah.
You know, they overstated it by a couple of feet, you'd think.
Well, old Jim, though, he was
But they put those
actually-
guys in there beside
Yeah.
somebody short, and
Yeah.
they never photographed them
Yeah.
standing next to anything that had a standard height.
No, but I could take my 2 hands and put them together like this, and that's how big his hand was, just like that.
How old were you?
I was about, I guess about 15 at that time. And actually, he was just Well, he wore a size 16 hat. Of course, his hats had to be special built, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was hey, here's a picture. Here's a good picture of old Nick Nebraska. Yeah, look,
Little Nick, yeah. I got a bunch of pictures.
that's a
of
good
him.
picture of him.
His mother was the bearded lady,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah. And he had a brother that was a fat man in the circus for a
she?
while.
Is that right?
His dad was the medicine man, Indian medicine man. You know, that done tricks on the horses and rope tricks
Huh.
and all sorts of circus performing tricks. You know, my dad brought Nick to this country. We have a bond from the immigration department. You had to put up a $1,000 bond at that time when you brought a family to this country and stand responsible for them. Well, he never did get naturalized, so we never could. They never could take the bond down. See, so actually, my family was responsible for him all the time until he got naturalized, which he never did. See? That was just one of them kind of things. Of course, Nick told a lot of tales,
Yeah, he
a lot
had
of stories
something going there.
and you know, you
Yeah.
could
Oh, I used to talk
you had
to
to
him.
take it with a grain of salt. Part of what he said
Well,
because he
No, I
was-
guess he wasn't because they sold his stuff out here when he was in the rest home
yeah, right,
to make enough money to keep him in there.
yeah, the banker at Drummond, it was
And people would buy stuff for him. We
Yeah,
had a
all the-
gal
all the
down there
time.
that worked down there at the office, and she would go buy it once in a while. You'd tell her what he needed, and you'd go buy it. I don't know where she got the money.
yeah,
from.
you know what, people would go and he would and he would visit with them, and then they would go out and buy things that he wanted and bring back to him
Mhm.
because he was a midget and he was an attraction and so
Yeah,
forth.
an
And
old
he carried on kind of a thing like that all his
Yeah.
life, didn't he? Huh?
See, he has a Harvey silverware here.
Mhm.
Putting the Harvey house back in the train depot in Guthrie.
Oh, there you go.
Still in the
Hmm.
train depot.
Good. That's good. You know, we don't have any information on, we're looking up information on the Campbell family. And Elisha James, my great-great-grandfather, he came to here to Oklahoma when this was, before it was statehood, a long time before it was statehood.
Did he come in for the
And-
run?
And no, a long time before the run, he was here. That's why the other camels came here for the run, because he was already here. And he had some Indian land leased and run cattle on it, see? And we think, you know how they used to be able to do that, don't you? They'd come in and marry an Indian gal, and then the Indians would give them a lease on the land, and then they could run cattle on it. And so, up to right now, Nancy Dillon, his wife, she was quite a bit younger than him. We don't have any history on her before she married him. And the family's never been able to get much history on her. So what we want to do is we want to see if there might be something at the state archives on. Because, you see, my Uncle Buck, was a historian down there at the state archives.
Yeah.
And of course he wrote up some stuff about the camels, see, and we think maybe we might be able to find something there. We already know that the camel brand was the bar Inn brand, and nobody ever knew why it was an inn, and it was because his wife was Nancy, and we found out that that's why they established the bar Inn brand, because they always ask you when you establish a brand why you prefer this brand. And he said his wife's given name was Nancy. And so that's why he established the Bar Inn brand for the camel registered brand, see. And when he was running cattle here, see. And so we got a picture of her, and she looks like she's an Indian.
Well, there may be something in the archives down there.
See, and so how can, what I want to know is, how can you get permission to go and look and do some research down there?
It's
Do
public
you have
domain.
to?
Public domain,
Okay,
yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have permission.
No,
You just have to be there when it's open, huh?
it's open every day except Sunday.
From 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening?
And we're there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We open to the public normally at 9, but if you call
Yeah.
in, we get in at 8.
Well, we wanna go down and do some research and different things, you know, about that, to see what we can find out on that.
Well, I have to come back to my camera's working, my video camera.
Mhm.
My video camera died.
Yeah. So you know, here's some letters right here, just a few letters, right here that, I was starting to go through some of these letters and things, and, I've got a trunk full of them over there. And, about my dad's circus career after the Campbell Brothers Circus disbanded. And he went ahead and traveled with the circus until 1946. He retired from the circus. And then he lived at Silver Spring until he died in 1958. Anyhow, and a lot of these are letters from the different. See, that's from the sideshow. Freddie, Doc Campbell, Lincoln, Nebraska, Hal D. Barnes, Circus.
What type of letters are these normally?
And most of these letters are say something about the show.
Yeah.
And what they do is prove what he was doing and where he was at the time. And all the different stuff. These are different, and a lot of them are contracts for the circus, see, circus contracts.
Just a copy of that photo up there?
Yeah. That's Markville, and this is a contract from 1858. Yeah, these are most all these letters here, and of course a lot of them are, this is the winter quarters, winter circus quarter from Peru, Indiana, and that would be the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus. And this is getting him lined up for the next season, I think, or something, from the circus. A letter to him. Offering so much money for different freaks and so forth to be under contract with the circus for the next season. But I've got bushels of these letters, and of course I've got a lot of letters referring to the Campbell Brothers Circus and the different events and all the different things.
Now, the main circus museum in Sarasota, Florida?
That's the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus Museum. The main circus museum is in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
You know, what's in San Antonio? There's some museum down there.
Yeah, but that's the circuses that travel in Texas.
Okay.
That's the Texas Circus
That one
Museum.
at Baraboo, the Circus World.
Yeah, the Circus World Museum. It's really the biggest.
Chappie
circus
Fox
museum.
started that one up there many years ago. That one down at Sarasota was primarily for ringlings, probably.
I can remember that when I was a kid, that was all the circus parades, it went,
See, this is sideshow contract. See,
Yeah.
for Freddie Campbell. This is from the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus for the year 1932. This is, of course, there's other parts of the contract here for different other. See, whenever he went with the circus, and of course, a lot of his freaks and stuff he had with the circus, he had to go ahead and put them under contract with the other circus people. You see, you
Yeah,
heard about,
yeah,
yeah, the pinheads, see, yeah. Well, he had to get, in other words, this was the contract for the sideshow.
Yeah.
And then they wanted each one of the sideshow performances also under contract.
Mhm.
So that's what this is. This is contracts here for all of the different ones. Names entered into the deal for the contract as a whole for the circuit for 1932 season with the Stegeman Wallace Circus.
How long were those contracts good for?
Just the one season.
Just one season?
They just booked the season at a time, because that's why you see so many different circuses and so many different shows, because he went with Johnny J. Jones one year. He went with Hagback and Wallace for 2 or 3 years. He was with Algie Barnes, Seth Polo, Johnny J. Jones,